There's a cheap seed that forms a gel inside your stomach and literally slows down sugar absorption before it reaches your bloodstream. There is a yellow spice that, combined with a specific ingredient, has its absorption dramatically increased by the body. And there is a nut you have probably eaten before without knowing. It protects the cells responsible for producing insulin. 10 foods, all affordable, all backed by science, and most of them are already close to you. Over the years, following patients with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes, one thing became very clear to me. What you put on your plate every day has more power over blood sugar than most people realize. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now. The content we share here can change the way you see your health. My name is Dr. Thomas Ellsworth, and today our content is unmissable. Before talking about the foods, I need you to understand one mechanism. Because without understanding this, the list does not make complete sense. The central problem for people with high blood sugar is not just the amount of carbohydrates they consume, it is systemic inflammation. When the body lives in a chronic inflammatory state, cells stop responding well to insulin. The pancreas keeps producing. Sometimes it even produces more, but the signal does not get through. Sugar keeps floating in the blood because the cells are, in a way, keeping their door closed. This has a name. It is called insulin resistance, and it is at the core of the problem in a large portion of type 2 diabetes cases. The good news is that inflammation responds to diet, and the foods I'm going to present here act exactly on that point, each with a different mechanism. I had a patient who came to me concerned about his labs: elevated fasting blood sugar, glycated hemoglobin, rising slowly but consistently. He did not want to start medication yet. He wanted to understand what he could do with his diet first. We made simple adjustments using foods he already had access to. In 3 months, the numbers changed. It was not magic, it was biochemistry. Have you ever stopped to think about what you eat every week without knowing the real effect it has on your blood? Let us get started. The first food is black beans. They are probably already in your pantry, and they are one of the most underestimated allies in glycemic control. Black beans are rich in soluble fiber and resistant starch. These two components do something very specific. They slow down carbohydrate digestion and reduce the glucose spike after meals. But the benefit goes beyond the short term. Studies show an association between regular legume consumption and reduced glycated hemoglobin. That marker that measures the average blood sugar behavior over the last 3 months. This means that eating beans consistently is not just a matter of food culture, it is a metabolic strategy. The second is collard greens, simple, affordable, and with a property few people know about. It contains compounds that help with insulin sensitivity and have documented anti-inflammatory action. The practical detail here is important. Sautéing for just 2 minutes preserves the bright green color and active nutrients. Overcooking destroys what makes collard greens useful for people with elevated blood sugar. The third food is the Brazil nut. And here I need to be precise because there is a detail that changes everything. The Brazil nut is one of the most concentrated sources of selenium in the world. Selenium is an essential mineral for protecting the beta cells of the pancreas, exactly the cells responsible for producing insulin against oxidative stress. Studies associate regular selenium consumption with a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes and better control in already diagnosed patients. But the limit matters. 1 to 3 units per day is enough. More than that, consistently can cause toxicity. This is not about eating a handful. It is about eating with precision. The fourth is avocado. And here is a myth that needs to be debunked. Because it is fatty, many people with high blood sugar still avoid avocado. That reasoning is wrong. The fat in avocado is predominantly monounsaturated, and this type of fat, contrary to what was once believed, improves insulin sensitivity. It also slows gastric emptying, which means the carbohydrates from the meal are absorbed more slowly. The result is a lower glycemic spike after eating. By the end of this video, I will show you how the proportion of your plate, not just the foods you choose, can change your body's response in a measurable way. It is a simple adjustment, and it makes a real difference. The fifth food is flaxseed, and there is a technical detail here that determines whether it will work or not. The whole seed passes through the digestive system practically intact. The body cannot break the shell. To get the real effect, flaxseed needs to be consumed ground, and the effect is significant. The soluble fibers in flaxseed form a kind of gel in the digestive tract that literally wraps around carbohydrates and delays sugar absorption. A clinical study with type 2 diabetes patients showed a measurable reduction in glycated hemoglobin with regular use of ground flaxseed. It is not a supplement. It is a cheap, accessible seed that works when used correctly. The sixth is turmeric, also known as ground saffron. Here the science is robust. A study followed people with prediabetes for 9 months. The group that consumed curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, daily had a drastic reduction in progression to type 2 diabetes compared to the control group. Turmeric works by reducing systemic inflammation, that chronic state that keeps cells resistant to insulin. But there is a preparation secret that multiplies the effect. Curcumin alone has limited absorption by the body. When combined with black pepper, absorption increases dramatically. It is no coincidence that these two spices appear together in traditional preparations across various cultures. One practical way to use it, turmeric with warm milk and a pinch of black pepper before bed. Simple and scientifically supported. The seventh food is sardines or tuna, and I need to debunk another myth here. Many people believe that to get quality omega-3, they need to buy salmon. They do not. Sardines and tuna offer omega-3 in relevant quantities at a fraction of the price. Omega-3 has documented anti-inflammatory action and contributes to improved insulin sensitivity. The key point is the version you choose. Prefer cans in olive oil or water. Versions with industrial sauces may contain added sugar, which cancels out much of the benefit. Do you usually check the label before choosing tuna or sardines at the store? It is a habit worth building. The eighth is black cumin, also called nigella. Less well known, but with a solid scientific base. A meta-analysis consolidating multiple studies concluded that regular use of black cumin significantly reduces fasting blood sugar and circulating insulin. Nigella contains thymokinone, a compound with anti-inflammatory and antioxidant action that directly interferes with the metabolic response to glucose. It may seem like an exotic ingredient, but it is available at natural food stores and does not represent a high cost. The ninth food is cinnamon, and here the data is specific enough to cite. A study published in the journal Diabetes Care analyzed groups consuming 1 to 6 g of cinnamon per day. The results showed reductions in fasting blood sugar, cholesterol, and triglycerides. Cinnamon appears to work by improving insulin signaling in cells, functioning almost like a facilitator of communication between the hormone and the tissues. 1 teaspoon per day added to yogurt, coffee, or fruit already represents a dose with potential for effect. The 10th element I saved for last because it involves not just what you eat, but how you build your plate, and that changes everything. The 10th element is not exactly a single food, it is the proportion of your plate. And this concept is more powerful than most people realize. The common logic puts rice as the base, protein as a side, and vegetables as a detail. That logic is inverted for anyone who needs to control blood sugar. When you put more protein, chicken, lean meat, fish, and reduce the amount of carbohydrate, the glycemic impact of the entire meal changes. Protein slows gastric emptying, vegetables add fiber that decelerates absorption. The carbohydrate, in smaller volume and surrounded by these other nutrients, causes a much lower spike than it would cause alone in large quantity. It is not about eliminating rice, it is about repositioning it on your plate. This adjustment, combined with the foods I presented throughout this video, creates a cumulative effect. Each meal starts working in favor of your blood sugar, not against it. And the result shows up in your labs over weeks and months. This is documented. It is not intuition. It is what happens biochemically when you change the composition of your plate consistently. Now let me tie everything together in a practical way. Black beans regularly, collard greens sautéed for 2 minutes, 1 to 3 Brazil nuts per day, no more, ground flaxseed, not whole, avocado without guilt, turmeric with black peppers, sardines or tuna, canned in olive oil or water, black cumin for those who want to go further, daily cinnamon in small doses, and the inverted plate. More protein, less carbohydrate, more vegetables. None of these items are expensive. None require a radical life change. What they require is consistency, not perfection. Consistency. The inflammation that keeps blood sugar high did not settle in one day, and it will not go away in one day. But every meal is a choice, and accumulated choices change numbers, change lab results, change the trajectory of a disease that, when ignored, advances in silence. You do not need to wait for things to get worse to act. The time is now. With what is accessible, with what already exists in your kitchen or at the nearest store. This is what the science shows. Black cumin, for those who want to go further,